Welcome back. This is lesson 8.6, multiplication and division equations. I apologize. I started doing this video and then I had a technical difficulty, but I only have one paper. So I'm going to have to they're already filled out for a little bit. So let's talk about this. It says, I will be able to solve multiplication and division equations using inverse operations. I will be able to show all of my steps accurately and check my solution. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to catch up on the writing, but please listen through the entire thing. Okay, vocabulary for this lesson. We have equation, which is a mathematical statement that two expressions are equal to each other. We have solution, which is a value that makes a variable true for an equation. And inverse operations are operations that are opposite of each other and undo each other. So remember our solving equations song. Go ahead and refill this out, but I'll sing it one more time. Identify the variable to solve the mystery. Inverse operations will reverse its history. Keep both sides equal by treating them both the same. Then check your solution to see if you win the game. Okay, we've already done this with addition and subtraction equations. Now we're going to talk about how we would apply this to multiplication and division equations. So this first one I had filled out before I had the technical difficulties. So I'm going to try and kind of hide parts of it as we go through it. So right here we had the equation 148 equals 2b. So identify the variable. In this case it was b. Now what's happening to b? It's being multiplied by 2. So we need to figure out what inverse operation will reverse that. So the inverse of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So if you can see here, I wrote divide by 2, but I have to do it to both sides to keep it equal. So I divided this side by 2, and I divided this side by 2. So on this side, 2 b's divided into 2 groups. We put 1b in each group. Think about our pictures that we drew yesterday. So 1b is the same as b, and then I took 148 and I divided it by 2. So you can see that 2 went into 14 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. Left me with 0, bring down the 8. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And I got 0 here. So I got 74. So I got b equals 74. So this is where we're picking back up. I'm checking my answer by plugging it in. So my original equation was 148 equals 2 times b. So look at how I've replaced b with 74. Now if I'm going to check this, I'm going to do 2 times 74 and see if I get 148. So 74 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 7 is 14. Because this is the same as 148, those two sides match. That tells me I have done my math correctly, and 74 is the solution. Alright, let's look at this next one. Okay, some of your brains are going, a fraction, I can't do it. Remember, a fraction just means divide. It means h got divided by 12. So, identify the variable. My variable is h. What happened to it? It was divided by 12, and now in each group there are 11 pieces. So, how do I undo dividing by 12? Well, I'm going to times by 12. So if I times by 12, I want you to think what happens. If I had this as a fraction, are you okay with me writing that as 12 over 1? Now what happens when you multiply with fractions? Remember cross canceling? So if I cross cancel, that gives me 1 up here and 1 down here. Well, 1 times h is h. 1 times 1 is 1, and what's h over 1? That's the same as just h. So, the key is knowing that the opposite of dividing is timesing. What I do to one side, I do to the other, so I'm going to say times this side by 12. 11 times 12 is a fact I know. That is 132. So I am saying that h was 132 before it was divided by 12. Let's check. Replacing h with 132, divide by 12, and then see if it gives me 11. Okay, just to prove it, I'm going to do 132 divided by 12 here. 12 goes into 13 one time. Minus 12 gives me 1. Bring down the 2. 12 goes into 12 one time. Minus 12 gives me 0. So I got 11 on this side. 11 matches what's on the other side. That tells me that 132 is my answer. Now what about if we have decimals? Same process. Don't let it freak you out. This just means divide. So m is my variable. Inverse operations of dividing by 0.6, I'm going to times by 0.6. Now remember, when I'm dividing, that's going to cancel each other out and give me just 1m, which is exactly what I wanted. But when I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to set that up over here. Times 0.6. 6 times 3 is 18. Regroup 1. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 1 more is 13. 0 placeholder. 0 times 3 is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. I didn't really have to do that, but some of you mentally need to see that, I know. So I got 138 and 1. 2 places behind the decimal. 1, 2 places behind the decimal. I got an answer of 1.38. Okay, sounds reasonable, I think. How do I make sure? I plug it in. So I'm going to say 1.38 divide by 0.6 should give me 2.3. Okay, check our answer. I'm going to put 1.38 inside the box. Divide it by 0.6. Okay, remember I don't want to divide by a decimal, so I want to divide by a whole number, so I'm going to move the decimal over 1. It's going to move over 1. I'm just going to think now of that being 6. So 6 goes into 1. It does not. 6 goes into 13 twice. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract 12 gives me 1. Bring down the 8. Decimal point here needs to line up in my answer. 6 goes into 18 3 times. Minus 18 gives me 0. So when I did all this work, I got 2.3. That matches what's on the other side. It tells me my answer is correct. Now, this one, people want to freak out. These are actually some of the easiest ones to do. So you see how this is 2/3 times w. W is the variable. I need to do the inverse operation. I'm going to divide by 2/3. Well, if I divide by 2/3, I'm going to do it to this side as well. Okay, remember what you know about dividing with fractions? Remember KFC? This will not be that bad. So I have 12 over 1. Keep the first. Flip the second. Change the sign. Remember, that's only with division because now we can cross cancel and do all that good stuff. So I can cross cancel 2 and 12. That gives me 1 on this side. Divide this by 2, I get 6. So 3 times 6 is 18 over 1 times 1, which is 1. So on this side, if I divide 2/3 by 2/3, I get 1, because anything divided by itself is 1. So I get 1w, which is w all by itself. On this side, I got 18 over 1, which is the same as 18. Which, would that make sense? Is 2/3 of 18 12? Well, let's see what happens. 2/3 times 18 should give me 12. Let's prove it. Now this is timesing, so I'm going to cross cancel. Here, 1, this would give me 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. 12 over 1 is the same as 12. And voila, they match. We have done some good math. Okay, let's try the next one. 1.92 equals 1 2/10 times k. K is my variable. It's being multiplied. How do I undo multiplication? Divide. So I'm going to divide by 1.2. Divide this side by 1.2. 1.2 divided by 1.2 cancels out and gives me 1, because anything divided by itself is 1. So I get 1k on this side, which is the same as just k. This one is going to be a little harder to work out, so I'm going to write it out. 1.92 divided by 1.2, move the decimal over. So that's the same as dividing by 12 now. 12 goes into 1. It does not. 12 goes into 19 one time. 1 times 12 is 12. Gives me 7 left over. Bring down the 2. 12 goes into 72 6 times. But don't forget the decimal in between there because the decimal is here. 12 goes into 72 6 times. Minus 72 gives me 0. So I got 1.6. Now prove it. 1.92 equals 1.2 times k we think is 1.6. Let's do the math and see what happens. 6 times 2 is 12, regroup 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 more is 7, regroup 0. Or not regroup. 0 placeholder. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Add it up. 2, 9, 1, and 1. 2 places behind the decimal. 1.92 matches 1.92. I am correct. Alright, now we've got 2 equals 1 1/3 times g. How do I undo timesing? I divide. So I'm going to divide this side by 1 1/3. Anything divided by itself gives me 1. So I'm left with 1g on this side, which is the same as g. Now what I do to one side, I do to the other. Okay, I don't have quite enough room over here. This is what I'm working out, but what do we remember about dividing with fractions? K, F, C, and if we have mixed numbers, you got to make them improper or it's not very helpful. So this is the same as 4/3. So I'm going to keep the first, 2, flip the second, 3 over 4, change the sign to multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. Oh, let's cross cancel. 2 and 4 share a common factor of 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Multiply across the top, I get 3. Multiply across the bottom, 1 times 2 is 2. Now, because it's a final answer, I'm going to make it improper, or from improper to a mixed number. 2 goes into 3 one whole time, and that leaves 1 piece left over. So 1 1/2 equals g. Let's see if that is true over here. So 2 equals 1 1/3 times 1 1/2. Okay, make these improper. This would be 4 over 3 times, this would be 3 over 2. Cross cancel what you can. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Divide by 2, I get 1. Divide this by 2, I get 2. Times across the top, 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 over 1 is the same exact thing as 2. Tells us we did our math correctly. Alright, now how does this apply to real life? Here it says, define a variable, write an equation, and solve. Damien and 3 friends went to the movies. Okay, Damien went to the movies and 3 friends. So how many people went to the movies? 4 people total. Okay, that's going to be important. They evenly split the total cost. Each person spent $13. Okay, we know, or the part we don't know is the total bill. So I'm going to write B and call that the total bill. We're defining our variable. So, how would we figure out what happened? They took the bill, they split it evenly 4 ways because there were 4 people, and they got a total of $13. So how am I going to undo dividing by 4? I'm going to times by 4. Dividing and timesing by 4 is going to cancel out and give me just B, or 1B by itself. But if I do that, I do it to this side as well. 13 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Regroup 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. So I got 52. Let's check our answer though. Make sure that works. So 52 divided by 4 should give me 13. Let's prove it. 52 divided by 4. 4 goes into 5 one time, minus 4 gives me 1, bring down the 2. 4 goes into 12 one time, or 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12, gives me 0. I got 13. This is 13, so yes. The total bill was $52, so our solution is B equals $52. Okay, now you're going to write your own. You have to fill this out before I'm going to give you credit for it. Write a story that can be represented by the equation 24 equals 6m. Give me a reason. You have to times something by 6 and get a final answer of 24. Then rate yourself on this concept. 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Take a picture and turn it in on Google Classroom.